Hey, it's Ewing here, and in today's video, I want to talk a little bit about the data that was just released by PaperStack. Now, if you don't know who PaperStack is, they are an online platform that was created to basically make it easy for folks like you and I to buy and sell mortgage notes for investment purposes. And the guys at PaperStack have done an amazing job, both with their platform and with their podcast. So I invite you to check out both the podcast and the platform, especially if you're looking at getting into mortgage note investing or you are already investing in notes. But they released a newsletter this past week, and they released their 2023 data as far as the note sales that have gone on their platform. And so I just wanted to go through some of the data and just what it means to us as note investors. Okay. So here is one of the charts that they put out. This is the average investment to the unpaid principal balance. Okay, so what this means is if someone bought a note on PaperStack, what did they pay to buy the note versus the unpaid principal balance remaining on the note? Okay, and they break it down as performing notes here, and then they've also got non-performing. And it was interesting just to see what other investors are actually buying notes at as far as the percentage. So first lien mortgage notes that are performing, the average purchase price to unpaid balance ratio is about 81%, okay? So if you're making bids on performing notes, you got to know that that's where you're going to need to be if you want to have a competitive bid that you're going to get accepted, okay? So if you're trying to offer 50% of the unpaid balance on a performing note, chances are you're not going to get your bid accepted when a lot of folks are paying around 80%. Okay, so this is really great information to know. You need to know what your competition is doing, what other investors are doing in the market. Okay, now on second liens, it's a lot lower because there's a lot more risk with second liens when you're buying second mortgages because you're behind the first lien position mortgage note or mortgage lender. And so understandably, people are paying less. They're paying 63% of the unpaid balance because there's a little bit more risk there. Okay, so that's pretty predictable. Now, on the non-performing note side, now these are loans where the borrower is not making their regular payments. They've either completely stopped making payments or they're making sporadic payments, but they're behind. Now, this is interesting. Non-performing loans, they're selling at 51% of the unpaid balance. Now, this makes sense. This is kind of where I like to bid myself. So because there's more risk involved and there's more to do when you buy a non-performing note. You are going to have to work with the borrower, try to get them back on track. Maybe you need to do a modification on the loan to get them back paying again. You may have to negotiate a deed in lieu of foreclosure or even go through the foreclosure process if you buy a non-performing note. So there's more risk and more to do. And so understandably, investors are paying around 51% of the unpaid balance. Now, the second position non-performing notes, I expected to actually be a little bit lower. Investors are paying about 49%, which is very similar, basically the same ratio of sale price to unpaid balance on second mortgages. So again, if you're looking at bidding on notes on PaperStack or anywhere else, it's good to know what's going on in the market in the past year, where the pricing's at. And obviously PaperStack is not the entire note market. So it's got its own niche. The types of notes that are transacted through PaperStack might be different than other avenues or areas in the note market, but at least you know on PaperStack what to expect when you're making your bids.